Malik Willis turned some heads in 2020. A transfer from Auburn to Liberty, he's a top-tier dual-threat guy with 20 touchdowns and 2,200 yards through the air, combined with 944 yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground. Willis is a magician in the pocket and has some of the cleanest mechanics when creating and throwing on the move. He routinely extends plays and hits receivers downfield or takes off on his own for chunk gains. However, that didn't always translate when he stayed in the pocket and went through progressions. Liberty asked for a lot of deep shots, but he had some pretty poor deep ball mechanics and was hesitant on reads. The biggest thing for Willis is just consistency. Every fifth or sixth play, he makes a fantastic throw or evades pressure, but he'll also miss some routine throws when he's in the pocket. Malik Willis is a fantastic athlete. Sometimes that has a bad connotation when it's attached to quarterbacks, but it's a huge part of Willis's game. He has fantastic escapability and is a legitimate threat on the ground when he takes off. Liberty uses him on designed runs and read options, but he absolutely shreds defenses on scramble drills. He's only 6'1" and 215 pounds, but he's incredibly tough to bring down in the pocket and is agile enough to make people miss and break tackles. You don't get to 900 yards rushing as a quarterback by accident. Malik has the tools to be a legitimate threat on the ground in the NFL. You probably won't see him run as much at the next level, but it can be a big part of the playbook. Especially with schemed looks and design touches, he's a problem for defenses to have to cover. At the college level in 2020, he was inconsistent in keeping his eyes up when he moved outside the pocket. That doesn't mean he didn't do that. He wasn't a pure run-first guy when he was scrambling, but if he saw a big hole, he was going to take it. And that may result in him picking up chunk gains, but when evaluating his ability at the next level, you want to also see him throw on rhythm and hit receivers instead of running all the time. Here, NC State is in cover 1 and sending the corner blitz to the bottom of the screen. It's also worth noting that Liberty's offensive line was absolutely trash all year long. Liberty is running the drive concept to combat the cover 1 look at the top of the screen. Willis's tackle gets beat around the edge and Willis has to climb the pocket. However, if he wanted to, he could have quickly taken the flat to the top of the screen in rhythm. As he climbs, he could also have hit the dig coming across right in front of him with space to run. That dig would have been a nice chunk gain, but Willis is already committed to running the ball at that point. At the end of the day, though, that's part of his game. He picks up 20 yards and he moves the chains with his feet. There are definitely things to critique Willis on, and one of those is his over-eagerness to get outside of clean pockets. As mentioned, despite his penchant for making things happen on broken plays, he didn't always just tuck the ball and run. He didn't need to bail from the pocket here, but this is a fantastic ball on a dead sprint. Willis is at home on broken plays and he's able to create with his legs and his arm while the defense scrambles to react. To really push himself over the top though, he needs to be able to show that he can throw from the pocket and make those quick, decisive reads and stay on schedule within an offense. However, he's incredibly sound when he's throwing on the move, and that's something that a lot of quarterbacks struggle with. When throwing on the run, you want to create lower and upper body disassociation just like you do when you're throwing from the pocket. It's just harder to do typically because you have momentum carrying you in different directions. What disassociation means in this case is that you want to have your upper body and lower body facing different directions. So to be more specific, your hips and the point of your off shoulder need to be perpendicular. That creates tension in your core, and the release of that tension is what creates power and accuracy for your throw. Malik Willis creates that disassociation at a really high rate when on the move. You can see here how his front shoulder is close to his throw with his upper body pointed towards the sideline and his hips perpendicular and pointed downfield. That allows him to get power while on the move and deliver a strike for the touchdown back across his body. Over and over again, Malik did a fantastic job creating that tension and then using his natural arm talent and accuracy on the move, whether he was rolling to his left or his right. He's such a weapon in the open field that it really puts defenses into impossible situations. He's accurate enough on the move to make any throw, and he's a problem on the ground if he decides to take off. That leaves defenses exposed and in bad spots. He also has a rocket arm and no issues with arm strength. He can throw outside the numbers, push the ball deep, and drive balls in the middle of the field. The talent and physical tools are there, and they're there in bunches. It's easy to look at what Malik does outside the pocket and become enamored, but his mechanics and reads inside the pocket leave a lot to be desired, and to be a first-round pick after this season, that stuff needs to be cleaned up big time. This is an example of Malik Willis doing some crazy stuff in the pocket, but having trouble with his pre-snap read. Liberty has a dragon-lion variation called here, with lion, which is double slants, up at the top of the screen, and a dragon concept with a glance route and wheel at the bottom. Generally, when faced with two safeties, you want to read lion and work off the hook defender. If that defender attaches to the inside slant, you throw outside. If he drops, you throw the inside slant. The problem is Malik doesn't even look to that side. Instead, he's reading the adaptation of dragon, which is not really a very good call against his coverage. As mentioned before, Liberty's offensive line was pretty bad, and when the ball doesn't come out in time, Willis has to create on his own. He does a great job creating, but you'd like this to be an easier play where your quarterback doesn't have to be a magician to get a gain of yards. Here, Liberty is running the Mills concept with a deep dig from number 3, a post from number 2, and a shallow drag from the running back. What that's doing is trying to isolate the linebacker and safety in a high-low read. If the safety comes down on the dig, you throw the post over the top. If the safety stays on the post, you read the linebacker to decide between the dig and the shallow. Here, Malik is late on the throw with an extra hitch, he's inaccurate, and he leaves his receiver into a big collision. The decision itself isn't terrible, there's a window there, but you have to leave that ball skinny to prevent the receiver from running into the safety, and you have to drop it over that defender that's carrying the post. It's not an easy throw, and given that he has a clean pocket, it's probably not the one he should have made since he has time. Underneath, he has the dig in either the first window before the linebacker or in the second window as he clears. Let's rewind a little bit though and look at his mechanics on this post throw, because that's a recurring issue as well. When he's trying to put some heat on his ball or push it deep, he has a tendency to have this odd follow through with his back foot. As he brings his hips through, he brings his knee up and raises it almost to hip height. That creates a lot of imbalance, some power generation issues, and inaccuracy when he's throwing deep. When you don't have a consistent and replicable way to finish your throw, you're going to have accuracy problems because it's hard to recreate and give your body feedback. If you have the same base every time and you miss left or right, you can correct one thing and fix it. But when your base or follow through is different every time, how can you pinpoint what you need to correct? Malik's bent knee follow through was a problem all through 2020 and needs to be a point of emphasis for 2021. You can look at this frame here and tell me if you've ever seen anyone finish a throw like that while they're in a clean pocket. I'll take a guess and say that you haven't, and it's also the reason why he's missing long or short on his deep balls. His follow through and power generation are incredibly inconsistent when he's throwing from a clean pocket. When that knee bend is smaller though, Malik Willis can sling it, and he shows some really nice accuracy and ball placement. He's just wildly inconsistent. And it's frustrating because Willis does have the talent and he can read things quickly on some plays. He can throw in rhythm, he understands leverage, and he has some really good timing on back shoulder and quick game concepts. If all that comes together on a more consistent basis, he's going to be a ton of fun to watch, and that'll result in him skyrocketing up some draft boards. Malik Willis is a special athlete, and he can be a special thrower. Right now, though, he isn't what he needs to be from the pocket. Outside of the pocket, he can do some significant damage. To be able to play at a high level in the NFL, he has to develop better and more consistent timing and rhythm, quicker decisions on his reads, and better deep ball mechanics. If those get polished up, look out, because Malik Willis is going to be impossible to stop. Hey guys, I appreciate you watching all the way through. Make sure you drop a comment. Let me know someone, a scheme, idea, person who you want to see broken down here in the future before we start the regular NFL season. And make sure to check out the Football 101 series. I'm trying to post that every Monday. And I'll see you guys on the next breakdown.